look at the effect of gaze, there's a ton of research coming out right now about the relationship between people and their dogs. And what it's coming down to is this hormone, oxytocin, which is very closely associated with those feelings of love. And what we know is that the longer a person gazes at a dog, the more their oxytocin goes up. And vice versa, if we inject a dog with oxytocin, they will spend more time gazing back at us. So it's clearly really important to this relationship. But what does that mean for an animal shelter? Because while this information is really interesting, it's not going to help an animal shelter to actually adopt out more animals. So that was the goal for my project. I wanted to make a tool that an animal shelter could use to potentially save lives. So with that goal in mind, I set out to test this hypothesis that a dog who spent more time gazing at adopters would get adopted more quickly. And I started looking at dogs. I would approach a dog, I would watch it for 70 seconds, and that's just the average amount of time an adopter spends looking at a dog. And I would measure how much of that time that dog spent looking back at me. I looked at 71 dogs over the course of the summer, all between the ages of 1 and 7 years old. And what I found was that if dogs spent more than 10 seconds looking at me, they were adopted in only 4.5 days. However, those dogs that spent less than 10 seconds looking back at me spent significantly more time and took almost 7 days to get adopted. So I am so excited to be able to use this PSM degree to make actual operational changes in animal shelters. The idea here is that if we can identify long-term residents quickly as soon as they enter the shelter, we can get them help right away. So a couple ways we can do this is through enrichment and through improving their welfare, so we can give them calms and toys and things to do in their kennel, and we can provide them access to other dogs through co-housing them or through playgroups or things like that. We can also take proactive measures to get them adopted more quickly right away. So we can move them to the most visible kennel in the shelter, or we could increase their access to training programs. We could also, of course, increase their marketing, get them up on Facebook. That usually works pretty well too. This is crucial because if we can get a dog out of the shelter faster, we can get another one in and we can save that many more lives. So if we can identify those dogs that are going to be those less than 10-second dogs, we can improve their welfare and maybe even save more lives. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Kate?
Would that designation of greater than 10 seconds or less than 10 seconds be made publicly available? So when someone's shopping for dogs, is that something that's going to be, they're going to know that it's going to be a harder dog to adopt?
Yeah, I think it could absolutely be information that we can have to the public. The more a person knows about that dog and anything else about that behavior, the more successful they're going to be in that home. So most shelters are going towards that avenue of just providing as much information as possible and absolutely transparency.
Please do not publish that data for the public in 10 seconds. You're one person at one shelter with beautiful dogs, but each dog relates to different people.
This is very true,
ways.
absolutely.
So until your study is expanded, which is very interesting, and I love the motivation and where you're going with it, please don't put it out to the public.
No, I totally agree. I would love to be able to replicate this and have tons of people, short people, tall people. Yeah, absolutely.